For a man who makes $90,000 a year, which isn't exactly slave wages. What's your retort to that?
A well-paid slave is nonetheless a slave.
If there's anything that I can ever do as far as this fight for freedom is concerned, certainly count on me.
Curtis Charles Flood was an American baseball player who was born in Houston, Texas, and played most of his sporting career with the St. Louis Cardinals until he was traded from the Cardinals to the Philadelphia Phillies in 1969. Even though while with the Cardinals he had a .293 batting average and won a Gold Glove award, Flood wanted to further his baseball career by becoming a free agent, which would allow teams of his choosing to bid on him. There was a problem with his idea since baseball had a reserve clause which entitled players to one team until due par. Flood decided to challenge this fight and wrote a letter to Bowie Kuhn, the commissioner of baseball at the time, which stated his desire to become a free agent, but Kuhn ignored the letter. In May and June of 1970 in New York, this case was argued upon until Flood lost in U.S. District Court. And then further on in U.S. Supreme Court, Flood lost again 5-3 and never played baseball again. Without this fight in reaction to the plantation-like structures of baseball teams, we would not have free agency today and players would not be able to put their input into their contracts. The Curt Flood Act of 1998 granted players that right and stated that baseball and all other sports in the United States were subject to antitrust laws. The Flood versus Kuhn case paved the way for modern sports today.
After 2 outs, Flood is up, with Maxwell still on third. Von Borg pitches, Curt lines a single to center, and Maxwell scores the game's
The Ocho Show! What is free agency?
Well, free agency is something that players from all types of sports leagues and organizations take advantage of bettering themselves in their careers and their future. Alright? But most of them usually take advantage of the most important thing, which is money.
Yeah, whatever, Show. You know, I bet you don't even know the origin of free agency.
Right, you're right, Ocho. I don't know. Oh wait, I do know. Curt Flood. Curtis Charles Flood. The same one who was born in Houston, Texas. The same one who played for the St. Louis Cardinals. The same Flood who had a batting average of .293.
Wow. I'm actually surprised you have some intelligence on this topic, you know. But do you even know the Flood versus Kuhn case? Well, do you know Flood's intentions? Dude.
He was trying to break the reverse clause, which stated that players were tied to one franchise.
Yeah, I hear you. But why would Curt even want to try? Why would he want to try that? In 10 years of his baseball career at St. Louis from 1959 to 1969, he had a .293 batting average, just like you said. He was a star player. Why would he risk that?
Well, in 1960s, there was a civil rights movement, and obviously, black people didn't have the rights they have now. All right, so he was coming from a bad neighborhood, right? He grew up poor, he grew up tired, and all this, and he comes up being famous. All right, now he wanted to write for himself as a baseball player, but not just for him. He wanted to make sure that everybody around him, every baseball player, and every player around him, gets the rights that they deserve. All right, and he even says in an interview, he said that being a baseball player was like being a high-paid slave.
Whoa. How can he say that? He's playing baseball and he's making money.
Yeah. Until the fact of people not respecting you and you have no rights on the team.
Okay, I can understand that. So with this Flood versus Kuhn case, you know, at first, Flood consulted Marvin Miller, an executive director of the Players Union, and which Marvin Miller introduced collective bargaining into the league.
Yeah.
He introduced it.
Okay, all right. Marvin Miller, the executive director of the Players Union. Okay, all right.
Okay.
He told Curtis that he would lose and never play baseball again.
Yeah, well, that didn't stop Curtis at all. He still wrote a letter to Bowie Kuhn in 1969 stating that he wants his free agency and he wants to choose where he plays.
Yeah, but we all knew Kuhn ignored that letter. All right, he caused Curt to take this matter in a courtroom.
I mean, yeah, we all know his attorney was Arthur Goldberg, who's supposed to be a legendary lawyer and a baseball fan, which that didn't help him at all. Yeah, but he lost in the Supreme Court in March 1972. But do you know what their choice was? You know what? I'm not even joking. I'm not joking at all. Actually, you know what? No. Let me call up our expert analyst, JoJo Johnson, real quick to handle this matter. Are you there?
Yeah, I can hear you, Ocho.
Alright. Well, on the Ocho show today, we're talking about the Curt Flood case. And I need your expertise on this ruling in the Supreme Court. Can you help me out?
Well, Ocho, Justice Harry Blackmun affirmed that baseball is a sport and not a business, and therefore exempt from the antitrust law. Now, the United States antitrust law is a collection of federal and state government laws which regulates the conduct and organization of business corporations, generally to promote fair competition for the benefit of consumers.
All right, JoJo, thank you. That's good enough for now.
Well, all right, guys, take care.
Yeah. Take care, JoJo.
All right. We heard it. Well, you heard it for yourself. Curt Flood did indeed lose 5-3. All right, and never played baseball again.
Yeah, but challenging the reservation clause did take some guts. And in the end, the game did change, and the way and the players and teams and everything now is all changed.
All right, but I bet you didn't know that it was that the only reason that he lost is because of his lawyer, Arthur Goldberg. Goldberg was an ideal choice for the spot, but in court he was terrible. He was just really terrible. All right, and listen to this right here. It says he did not deliver pointed, persuasive arguments. All right, he looked clumsy, and on that day he didn't look like he understood baseball.
Yeah, you know, they said all he did was talk about Curt's golden gloves. I mean, what the heck? The man was supposed to be a legendary lawyer, and he's talking about that.
Yeah, Ocho. That makes you think a lot of things. But you know, we have the Curt Flood Act, which was established in 1998, which states that baseball players and all other sports in the U.S. were subject to an antitrust law, right? And it gave players those rights they wanted and deserved for their better future.
Well, I mean, Curt Flood, we thank you, man. You know, to start off, modern day sports would not be the same, and the way the players are paid and the way everything works in the sporting world would not be the same without you. I mean, even though we can all probably agree that every single player in every single sport is probably paid way too much money, I mean, but I'm glad myself that they do have rights.
Yeah. Of course, we can all agree with that. I mean, the top 11 salaries in America are all baseball players. All right, one of them known is Derek Jeter, all right, who is actually paid $18 million per year.
Well, you know, we've got to wrap it up today for the Ocho show. You know, I'm glad we got to talk about all this. Take care, y'all.
Always right.
Ocho out.
Show out.